The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football Union is determined to close the door on past problems and rebuild the game throughout the country. In 2016, the PNG government and Rugby Union fell out over accusations of political interference, while the government still has possession of the Rugby Union's official home base, Bava Park. A court-appointed mediator met with the two parties, resulting in an agreement on a new interim board, which took effect earlier this year, and comprised 2 members from each side and 1 independent. The interim board has already held several meetings, and the independent chairman, Sid Yates, said everyone involved with rugby in PNG has had enough of infighting and wants to move forward. When we leave, we want to make sure the new board will have a good sound structure. They have good relationships with the key stakeholders, including World Rugby and Oceania and all our key sponsors that have helped us before, he said. So they can then get on with the framework of managing the game and developing the game. We've got a lot of work to do. I mean, we've gone nowhere for a couple of years, so if we can get those things in place for the new board, it will be fantastic. Members of PNG Rugby's interim board, including Ben Frame, 2L, Sid Yates, C, and Michael Luieri, 2R, met with World and Oceania Rugby in Sydney last week. Photo: Oceania Rugby. One of the consequences of PNG's administrative challenges has been the suspension of funding from their governing body. The PNG men's and women's sevens teams have both featured on the World Series this season, despite players and coaches being unpaid, while the men also competed at the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast. The Puks and Pele have also qualified for the Rugby World Cup Sevens in San Francisco in July, and Sid Yates admitted the union's dire financial position means the team's preparation is less than ideal. World Rugby has had the tap turned off, and look, the only real funding that we have available for us right now is from limited sponsorship, he said. We've got to tick the boxes to get back there, and the funding will not help us prepare our teams to get to the Sevens World Cup. The PNG Puks and Pele, pictured, will both attend the Rugby World Cup Sevens in July. Photo: Mike Lee, KLC. Photos for World Rugby. Any funding that we may be able to get will help us with the administration of the game, which comes under the grants, because we have no employees at the moment. We have no money, but we are working on it, Yates said. Since the interim board has been established, we are trying to establish those key relationships against, and we need to show that we are working together. We need to show that we have a plan. We need to show that we are going to put good governance around everything. But unfortunately, we have to do some of this in parallel, because we've got the World Cup coming up in July, and we are not going to have all those things in place. A new constitution is being written, and once completed, local unions will have a chance to affiliate and take part in the next annual general meeting, which is tentatively scheduled for the first quarter of next year. Sid Yates said the interim board has also taken action to address a couple of concerns that came about during the dispute. All the suspensions for affected unions have now been lifted, so that means that all unions will still need to affiliate once the new constitution has been put into place, he said. So I think that's a good start, so everyone is back to being equal. One other thing that's been a bit of an issue is it appears some players were not considered for selection in the past. That was a perception, but that certainly was not the case from what I've seen. But moving forward with that, over time it's intended that a new selection panel and policy will be put in place, based on best practice from Oceania and World Rugby, which will make sure that all players are given the opportunity to represent Papua New Guinea at international level. The home of PNG Rugby, Bava Park, remains under government control. Photo: Facebook, Hun Justin Kachenko MP.